Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's Sunday today, 31st May 2020. I hope, children, you've had a good break. We've had a 1 week holiday because of Eid. Eid Mubarak to you all. Our Zoom lessons, inshallah, will start again from Monday, 1st June. And some of you may even be going back to school as well. Wallahu a'lam. Anyway, coming back to our lesson, we are inshallah going to look at today Waqf rule number 3 and 4. And this will bring us to the end of Waqf rules. Just a recap, who remembers what Waqf means? What does Waqf mean? Does anybody remember? Waqf is an Arabic word. It means to stop. So we have been looking at rules which tell us how to stop, stop usually at the end of a verse. So let's have a recap. Number one, the first rule which we've covered are words which end with what we called a round ta. And the rule was very simple. We change it to a ha and we place a sukoon. So al-qari'ah, this word al-qari'atu, it will be, come on children, al-qari'ah. I hope that makes sense. And the second rule which we've covered is when the word ends with two fathas, what we call fathatain. And the rule was very simple. What we had to do was remove one fatha. So this word here, nabatan, it became nabata. So we've covered, alhamdulillah, two rules. One is words when they end with a round ta, what to do. And the other is words when they end with two fathas, fathatain. So we also know what to do. We simply take off one fatha. So alhamdulillah, now we can start looking at rule number 3. Okay, and what is rule number 3? Stopping on a word which ends with, number 1, either alif, or number 2, the word either ends with standing fatha. So it's going to end with either alif or a standing fatha. Let's look at examples and then this will give us a better understanding. So we've got two examples here. This first example is the example of a word ending with what? Come on guys, alif. Can you see? This word, it ends with an alif. Okay. And number 2 is an example of a word ending with, come on, what is this? This is a standing fatha. Okay, it's a standing fatha. So we've got number 1, this example, it shows us a word ending with an alif. And number 2, this shows us a word ending with a standing fatha. So now let's look at the rule. What do we do when you have a word either ending with alif or it has got a standing fatha like this second example? So what is the rule? The rule is very simple. It says here, no change. You don't do anything. You read it as it is. Read it as it is, as it says in this box at the bottom in big writing in yellow, that you read it as it is. So if we look at the examples, that will give us a better idea. So let's read this together. Come on, children. خرقها. That's it. You've done waqf. No need to change anything or add or take away. خرقها. Come on, children, let's read this again together. خرقها. So you don't do anything. When a word ends with an alif, you simply leave it as it is and read it as it is and do waqf. Let's look at this second example. Come on, children, let's read it together loudly. إِذَا سَجَى. So again, you've got the word ending with a standing fatha. What do? Nothing. You do nothing. You just leave it and you read it as it is when you stop. So come on, children. إِذَا سَجَى. So simple. So this rule is very easy. You don't have to do anything. There is no change whatsoever. No change. Let us now have and look at some examples from the Qur'an. This is, let me just make it a little bit bigger for you. There we are. This is Surah Shams. As you can see at the top here, it gives you the name of the surah. Surah Shams, in the last sipara of the Qur'an, towards the end. And if we look at this surah, look at the ending of each verse. So remember, this is the sign of Waqf here. Can you see? So we stop here, the verse ends there. So let's look at how these words are ending. I'm going to mark a few out and very quickly you will see. Come on, children, tell me, how are these words ending? The one which have the green line underneath them, how are they ending? Or this entire surah, if you notice, it ends with alif. Can you see? It ends with alif. It ends with an alif. As you can see, the entire surah ends with an alif. So can you see alif there, alif here, alif there, alif, alif. So what's the rule? The rule is you don't have to do anything, no changes. You read it as it is. So let's look at this word here. And I hope, children, that you will practice afterwards opening the Qur'an, or you can practice on the screen as well by pausing. So let's read this together. Wa duha ha. So can you see? You don't do anything, you just leave it as it is. Let's read this second verse now, just this, the last word. We don't have to read the whole verse. Ta-la ha. Come on, let's read it together again. Come on, let me make it a bit bigger for you. Ta-la ha. And now, just one more example. Let's read this now. Let's read from here. Either jalla ha. Either jalla ha. So the conclusion is, when you have a verse ending with an alif, you leave it as it is. Now let's have a look at an example of verses ending with a standing fatha. So again, this is a chapter from the Qur'an. It's just one page after وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا, the surah which we just looked at. This is Surah Al-Duha. This is Surah Al-Duha. And you will notice, as you can see in the yellow, that let's just make it a different color. There, green. You notice all of these words, they end with a standing fatha. Can you see? Standing fatha. You ignore basically the ya because it's silent. We don't read it. So this ya, you ignore it. Even here as well, I forgot to mention this earlier. You ignore the ya and you don't regard it. So do remember that, children. So let's read this together. Come on, I'll make it bigger. So this will be وَالضُّحَى. You don't do anything. You leave it as it is. وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى. ja, saja. Again, you leave it as it is. So what I'd like you to do, children, is I'd like you to pause this video, go back to the first surah if you've not already done, and practice. At least practice 3-4 lines. And then come back to this surah, Surah Al-Duha, and then practice again. And after this, we are going to move on to rule number 4, which is the final rule. Rule number 4 is going to be the final rule. So rule 3, it's like 2 rules. We've looked at 2 rules. A word ending with an alif. Let me just write it here. And a word ending, as you can see in these Quran verses, with a standing fatha. So I'd like you to pause the video and go back and do these 2 surahs and practice. Practice stopping on a word ending with an alif or a standing fatha. So I hope you've had your, you've practiced Surah Al-Shams and Surah Al-Duha. And you will be also practicing with your teachers as well from the pink book, inshallah. Let's now come to rule number 4. So, by now, this is a golden rule. This is a golden rule. This is a golden rule that tells you that when you are going to stop on a word, what do? This is what you do. This is what you do. Check the end of the word. Check the end of the word. So you will check, has it got, for example, a round da? Has it got a round da? Has it got fathatain? Has it got fathatain? And so there you are. You've got a, has it got a round da? Like here. Has it got fathatain? Does it end with a alif or does it end with a standing fatha? So if you look at the top, if there are none of these, so you've checked and there is no round da. There is no round da. And you've checked there is no fathatain. You've checked it doesn't end with an alif. And number 4, if you look at this last one, it also doesn't end with a standing fatha. None of these. So if there's none of these, it's very simple what you do. So if it's none of these, like I said, it's very simple what you need to do. Let's just first look at some examples. So let's look at this example. Come on, children, let's read it together. Let's make this bigger. Come on, let's read this together. Yubsiruna. So there you are. You've got a word here that ends with a fatha, just one fatha. Okay? There's no round ta, there's no 2 fathas, there's no fathatain, there's no alif, there's no standing fatha. Okay? So you've got here something which is different. Okay? Let's look at this second example now. Come on, let's read it together. I've made it bigger for you. Come on. Bismillah. Come on. Majnun. So if you look at the ending, is there a round ta? Yes or no? Come on, children. No. Is there 2 fathas? There isn't. Does it end with an alif? No, it doesn't. Does it end with a standing fatha like this? No, it doesn't. So what do we do? It's very simple. Let's just have a look at one more example. This one. Okay. Mubi. Let's read it together. Come on, children, loudly. Mubinin. Again, mubinin. Don't forget that there's a ya here. What I don't want you to do is pray mubinin. No. Mubinin. There's a slight stretch here. Mubinin. And we don't stretch this. Don't pray mubinin. No. Mubinin. The stretch is where here. This is where you stretch it. The ya with a sukoon. Okay. So, if you look at this example, what does it end with? Does it end with a round ta? Does it? No, it doesn't. Does it end with fathatain? No. Does it end with a standing, with a alif? No, it doesn't. What about standing fatha? No, it doesn't. So what do we do? What's the rule? But before we look at the rule, one more example. Let's just look at one more example. This example is from Surah Al-Fatiha. It's the end of the first verse. So come on, children, let's read it together. I want you to look at the words and read them. I don't want you to read it blindly. Some of you may know Surah Al-Fatiha by heart, but look at it. Come on, let's start from here. Rabbil a. Remember, ain, middle of the throat. Let's start again. Rabbil a. Now, what I want you to also pay attention on is you've got a lam here with a sukoon. A common error is that rather than praying Rabbil, children pray Rabbila. No, that's wrong. So let's read it properly. Rabbil alamina. So let's look at the end of the word. How does it end? It ends basically. Does it end with a fatha? Sorry, does it end with a round ta? No, it doesn't. Does it end with two fathas? No. Does it end with alif? No. Does it end with a standing fatha? No. So what do? This is the rule. The rule is very simple. The rule is very simple. This is the rule. That take off whatever there is. Take off whatever there is and put a sukoon on the last letter. So that's the main thing. That we will take off the fatha or the dhamma or whatever there is, and we will put a sukoon on the last letter. Let's just look at the same examples again. So you've got this example here. Come on, children, let's read it together. Come on. Yubsiruna. So can you see? It ends with a noon with a fatha. No round ta, no fathatain, no alif, no standing fatha. So what do? We remove this fatha, like here. There's no fatha here, can you see? And we put a sukoon there. So now let's read it with waqf. With waqf. Come on, children. Let's read this example, the one in green. Yubsirun. Yubsirun. There you are. That's how you stop. So basically, whatever is at the end, you take it off and you put a sukoon. So let's just read this example, the one in black. Come on, children. Majnunun. Majnunun. Now let's do waqf on there. So what's the rule? You chop off the dhammatain, you take the dhammatain off, the two dhammas off, and you replace it with a sukoon. So come on, children, let's read the example in green now with waqf. Majnoon. Majnoon. Once more, come on, children. Majnoon. Let's look at one more example. So you've got this example. Let's read it together. The example in black. Mubinin. Mubinin. Now, how do we do waqf here? Well, first we check, is there round ta? No, there isn't. Is there fathatain? No, there isn't. There's actually kasratain, but not fathatain. It doesn't have fathatain. It doesn't have an alif. It doesn't end with an alif or a standing fatha. So what do? We take off whatever there is. So in this case, we took off the kasratain and we replace it with a sukoon. So come on, let's read the example now in green by doing waqf at the end. Come on. Mubin. Mubin. And let's look at one more example now. The example of Surah Al-Fatiha, the first verse. So there you are. You've got it here. Let's read it together. The black. Rabbil alameen. So how do we stop? You take off this fatha and you put a sukoon. Remember, there's only one fatha here. If there was two fathas, it's a different rule. When there's two fathas, come on, children, what do? Come on, tell me. What do? We take off one fatha. But there's only one fatha here, as you can see. There's only one fatha here. Only one fatha. So the rule is we chop off this fatha, and as you can see, we replace it with the sukoon. So come on, let's read the example in green now together, and let's do waqf at the end. Rabbil alameen. Rabbil alameen. So easy. MashaAllah. Now to practice this new rule, this last rule, On the screen, you can see Surah Fatiha, Suratul Fatiha, which is the first chapter of the Qur'an, which many of you will probably know by heart. Okay, so if you look at the ending, let's just make this a little bit bigger. Okay, if you look at the ending of every verse, let's just take this example. Okay, the first one, what we've just done, can you see it ends with a noon with a fatha? Okay, so there's no round ta. So you always check the end word. What is it? Is it a round ta? If it's a round ta, you know what to do, but there's no round ta here. Is it fathatain? No, there's no fathatain here. There's only one fatha. Does it end with an alif? No, it doesn't. Does it end with a standing fatha? No. So if that's not the case, what's the rule? What do? We simply put a sukoon on this last word. We take off the fatha and we put a sukoon. So this will be Rabbil Alameen. And then, just in case you don't know what to put here, it's an alif. Ar-Rah. Come on, let's read it together, children. Come on. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. So again, we put a sukoon here. We take off the kasra, we put a sukoon. So what I'd like you to do is, children, I would like you to practice Suratul Fatiha as well. So I hope earlier on you practiced Washamsi and Wadduha, and now you will practice Suratul Fatiha. This will really help you in understanding the Waqf rules. So the conclusion, children, the conclusion is that how do you do Waqf? You look at how the word ends. This will tell you how to do Waqf. So that's what you do. You need to look at how the word ends. Does it have a round ta? Does it have fathatain? Does it end with an alif? Does it end with a standing fatha? If it's none of these, what do? We put a sukoon at the end. We knock off whatever there is and we put a sukoon at the end. What I'd like you to do is, children, before I finish today, work hard. That's my message. And my second message is that from today till you return to madrasa, in addition to what your teacher gives you as homework from the pink book, what I'd like you to do is, come on, yes, I would like you to recite 5 lines from the Qur'an every day. And the focus is what? Waqf. How to stop at the end of the verse. So this, if you start doing this, you will become familiar with the Qur'an and you will be able to read the Qur'an much faster, inshallah, because you're already there, you've covered all the rules, and by doing 5 lines every day, you are basically giving yourself a head start, inshallah. Jazakallah. Remember us in your du'as, and like I said, do work hard. Listen to what your teachers say every day. Pay attention when the Zoom lesson is going on. Do not talk, do not fidget, do not do anything else. You need to concentrate 100%, and at the same time you also need to spend at least half an hour every day preparing for the lesson, and another 20 minutes every day reciting, yes, that's it, 5 lines from the Quran every day. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum.